1989 was not just another year in American coinage. It was a turning point, buried in the shadows of a common quarter, a year that whispers secrets only the sharpest collectors can hear. What if I told you? The 1989 Washington quarter holds a story of mintage shifts, hidden rarities, lost designs, unexpected value, and a deeper meaning in the evolution of American currency. Welcome to a journey that will change the way you look at pocket change forever. The story of the 1989 Washington quarter begins long before the coin was struck in the presses of Philadelphia and Denver in the final years of the Reagan presidency. When the United States was undergoing massive political, cultural, and economic transformations, the quarter itself continued to bear the portrait of George Washington, first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of his birth. Yet by 1989, the Washington quarter had become more than a simple piece of currency. It had evolved into a symbol of national pride, a testament to tradition, and a quiet messenger of the subtle changes shaping the nation. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 512 million quarters in 1989, while the Denver Mint struck nearly 896 million. Combined, the total mintage exceeded 14 billion pieces, making it one of the higher output years for the Washington quarter. But what truly makes this year unique is not just the high mintage or the familiar reverse showing the heraldic eagle with outstretched wings. It is the context, the technical developments, the transition of minting standards, the anomalies, the collector-grade strikes, and the emergence of significant varieties that keep the 1989 quarter relevant in the world of numismatics. At a time when coinage quality was under scrutiny, the 1989 quarter stood at a crossroads between the old methods and modern minting innovations. The United States Mint was refining its machinery, updating its quality control processes, and subtly preparing for the decade to come, which would introduce radical changes in coin designs, metal compositions, and production goals. Yet through all this, the Washington quarter remained largely unchanged outwardly. Its face was the same. But keen observers began noticing differences, small differences in strike clarity, edge reading, planche luster, and die wear. Die varieties and mint errors from 1989 are especially important to collectors. Among the most significant are off-center strikes, double die obverses, clipped planches, and die cracks. Each error tells a unique story about the production process, its flaws, and how even with advanced technology, precision was not always guaranteed. The Denver Mint in particular showed examples of machine doubling and die fatigue in its later die states, leading to coins that appear slightly blurred or misaligned when examined under magnification. Beyond physical errors, there are philosophical elements to this coin that elevate its value for historians and collectors alike. The Washington Quarter series by 1989 had run for 57 years with no major redesigns. Despite calls for modernization in the coinage, the quarter resisted change. It was a numismatic constant in an era of flux, a bridge between generations, and a circulating tribute to the founding father of the United States. Every quarter carried in every pocket or drawer echoed this heritage. The composition of the 1989 quarter was still the cupra-nickel-clad format adopted in 1965, following the silver crisis and the end of silver coinage in circulation. These quarters featured an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. Although no silver content remained, collectors still pursued the finest examples in uncirculated and proof condition, especially those preserved in original government packaging or discovered in mint sets and rolls that had escaped handling and environmental damage. One must not forget the proof versions struck at the San Francisco Mint. These coins bearing the S mint mark were not meant for general circulation, but rather created for collectors using polished dies and specially treated blanks to create a mirrored finish and sharp details. The 1989 S-proof quarter is a thing of beauty when preserved well with frosted design elements, and a mirror-like field-proof coins from this year are sought after for their craftsmanship and aesthetic precision. And even though they are more common than earlier proofs, their market remains strong for examples with deep cameo contrast and no visible imperfections. Market value for the 1989 Washington quarter depends heavily on condition mint mark and errors in circulated grades. The coin holds face value only, but in mint state condition, particularly MS-66 and above it, begins to draw attention among grading services. PCGs and NGC have certified thousands of 1989 quarters, but only a tiny fraction earn grades of MS-67 or higher due to subtle contact marks, weak strikes, or loss of luster coins with such high grades command premiums, often exceeding hundreds of dollars in auction or private sale settings, and for those rare few with dramatic mint errors or pristine proof-like surfaces, the prices soar even higher. Collectors often seek full strike coins with strong details on Washington's hair eagle feathers, and lettering a full strike ensures that the coin was made with a fresh die and proper pressure, and these elements add value beyond basic grading standards. Eye appeal remains king in numismatics, and the 1989 quarter is no exception. Some collectors chase so-called toner coins, those with natural rainbow coloration due to chemical reaction or storage environment, while others prefer blast white coins with untouched brilliance. The Washington Quarter series was eventually redesigned with the launch of the State Quarters program in 1999 and the State Quarters program in 1999, and in hindsight, the coins of the late 1980s, like the 1989 edition, now serve as the final chapter of a classic era that began in the early 20th century and ended just before the new millennium. The 1989 quarter is not rare in numbers, but it is historically rare in what it represents: a quiet end to a long-running design, a final breath before the storm of change, and the last steady beat before the explosion, a variety that would define 21st century American coinage. The study of any coin must also reflect the era in which it was created, and 1989 was a year of transitions across the United States. The Berlin Wall had not yet fallen, but tensions were shifting. The Cold War was nearing its end. Computers were beginning to move into homes, and the economy was growing, but showing signs of inflation. The coin you held in your hand in 1989 could have passed through gas stations, diners, arcades, and parking meters each quarter, serving as a silent witness to American daily life. The coin was not just a medium of exchange, it was a participant in the American story. When you hold a 1989 Washington quarter, you hold more than a piece of metal. You hold a symbol of the mint's tradition, a relic from the last days of an old design, and a potential hidden treasure. If you are lucky enough to find the right die variety, or the rare high-grade example buried in a roll of ordinary pocket change, you are not just finding money. You are finding a story waiting to be told. A forgotten gem that may yet rise in value and importance in the eyes of future collectors. This is why coin collectors, researchers, historians, and even casual enthusiasts continue to study the 1989 Washington quarter. The more you look, the more you discover, from die diagnostics to mintage patterns, from mint errors to market trends, from aesthetic appreciation to historical relevance. This humble coin offers more than meets the eye. Its beauty lies not just in its design, but in its depth, its story, and its enduring place in the legacy of United States coinage. So as you continue your journey through American coins, never overlook the 1989 Washington quarter. It may not be the oldest or the rarest, but in the right hands and with the right knowledge, it could be the key that opens the door to a deeper understanding of numismatics, American history, and the power of small things to carry great meaning